And then we're going to go here real quick and do this. You should take that. You should be host now. You are. So when I say goodbye, the class doesn't stop. Have a great day, everybody. Wendey, thank you so much for your leadership. And
Okay.
everybody get out your sharpest crayon. You're about to learn a whole bunch from one of the best. Thank you, Dr. St. Onge.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Sorry, I'm just looking at one. Okay, he's chewing a bone. I have a Frenchie, so I'm sure you'll hear him throughout for the morning. So yeah, I'm Wendey. I live over in North Conway. Like I said, I've been doing this for 5 years. I absolutely love it. Um, I had dabbled in it years ago. It just wasn't the right time for me. I had a kid, I had a lot going on, and but it never left the back of my mind. That passion was always there. Um, and so, of course, during COVID, I had the time and the kiddo was a little older. And so I dove in and here I am today. So I would love it if each one of you would introduce yourself and share a little bit about you and why you're here or whatever you want to share. Want to start with you, Patrick?
Sure. So I'm Patrick. I live in Dover. I live in a duplex that I own. I rent out the downstairs. I live upstairs, and found my way into real estate from going to the Dover Investor Meetup. And while being there, Nate had talked me into getting my license. So here I am. My background, though, was in construction as a union iron worker doing structural steel down in Boston. And I spent some time in the Army Reserve, and I have one son that's 12 years old.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan. I'm a new realtor. I've been with Keller Williams for about 5, 6 months. I work out of the Portsmouth area, live in Newmarket, and I'm really excited to get through these Ignite classes and learn as much as I can from experts like yourself, Wendy.
Thank you. Happy to teach. All right. And last but not least, is it what it Deanna? Deanna?
It's Deanna Grimes.
Awesome.
I'm in a similar boat as Ryan. I started end of November. Just jumping head first into this. So I'm hoping I can slip.
Yeah, you've gotta, it's this career for sure is about putting in the time. Relationships, and education, which is so amazing. Like Keller Williams is just like such a great company, and I love how much education they provide. I would start off by saying if any of you, it sounds like you've all met with Tim and you're all doing that, I would also recommend finding yourself a mentor, finding yourself somebody who has been in this career for a while, knows the paperwork, knows all the little bits and pieces of it, and is willing to share that knowledge with you. I did that. I instantly had myself a mentor. I signed a contract with them. So anytime I had a closing, they got a portion of it, and it was an investment in my career. We would screen share. Obviously, they did the screen sharing, and I sat here and watched and learned. Um, and they would help me write up purchase and sales and do all the documents, learn DocuSign or zip forms or whatever you're going to use, to get really efficient with it, and somebody safe to ask the questions to. I signed on for her. I think I had signed on for 6 months. I don't fully remember how long it was, but it was extremely valuable. And her and I have just a wonderful relationship as moving on, right? Like you never know what's around the corner in this career, and to have a couple people that you can lean into besides the brokers, is really helpful, and really pretty cool to just kind of throw things around with each other. I'm going to apologize. I am on the kind of the tail end of a pretty good cold. So I apologize if you have to hear me hack through this. All right, so we'll get started. I think this class could go till 11 or we could hammer through it. This is my first time doing this, so little quick thing and then we'll get moving. I remember sitting and well now 5 years ago in Ignite. This was the first class I took and I remember just feeling so like excited and ready to work, but also feeling like nobody knows me. I'm just like another number in, you know, in the sea of realtors. And it was 4 years because Tim called me prior to January and asked me if I would teach this class. And I just remember being like, wow, like the things you can accomplish in such a short time. 4 years for me just felt so quick. Um, and so to 4 years ago just feel like Tim Lindsay's never going to know my name or Nate Dickey's never going to cheers a beer with me or whatever it may be, you know, and 4 years later I had so much recognition and to be seen. um I bring that up because if that's anything that you guys want, it's so obtainable, so you just gotta put the time in. So all right, let's see. So hopefully I don't hit any wrong buttons on the way. If you have questions, ask. I'm going to have you guys kind of read some of this because my throat and cold probably won't appreciate me talking this entire time. Let's see. And I might have to move you guys around. So course overview, so we can look through this. We're going to go through what real estate experts spark your career, embrace your job, connect with your market, define your value. Well, you guys are already sparking your career. Just showing up is so big. Being here, stepping out, teaching, getting, you know, getting as much education as you can, having as many conversations as you can. It's so valuable. Embracing your job. You're doing that. You're here. You're putting the time in. I think that all really it's kind of the same stuff. Connect with your market. Same. You're doing it and define your value. You know, you guys are all going to bring something different to the table, which people are going to respect and value and pass that along to their sphere, their people. So never underestimate your own value. Um, Generate your leads. That can be, you know, we all have our own way. I don't, texting, emailing, and phone calling, and sports, or, you know, church or whatever your thing is. Make sure people know that you're a real estate agent, because it's amazing how many people don't know that that's what we do. Grow your database. You know what that means. Capture leads with open houses. Yeah, that's probably going to be a great place for you to start. You've probably already heard this, but offer up your time, or just, you know, tail another agent. Hey, do you mind if I, you know, help you with your open house? And oftentimes, I know I do it. And if any of you want to travel up to North Conway and I have an open house, I'd be more than willing to give you any leads that come along during that open house. Capture leads with social media, capture more. Let's see, lead flow, keep every lead. Yeah. I wish I could show you around my office. Over here, you can see all that that's all real estate stuff. And on my desk, I go invest in manila folders or purple folders or whatever color folders you want, however you want to. I have everybody. The minute you start showing any kind of interest, and communicating with me about real estate, your name goes on a manila folder. I write down information. I have your name, your number, everything, and you're in my visual. And I call you. I reach out to you as often as possible. So, you know, you come up with your own system, of how you want to organize your life and your leads, but it's crucial to capture them and hold on to them and have them in your however it's visual for you, so that you're connecting with them and following up. Brent, like I just said, like I've got this side over here, they're a little cooler. They're not like but they're in my visual. I call them often. The people over here to my right, these guys are hot. These guys are bringing me money in this year, and I'm all over them. And qualifying potential leads. That's just, whoa. Uh-oh. Yeah, here we go. Messing up stuff. Okay, not too bad. Get the Ignite workbook. I don't know if you guys want to, I'll give you a second to do something with that if you want. Let's see. I know I'm going to hit a wrong button through this journey. I'm going to try not to. Okay, today's agenda. Success with buyers, success with clients, sellers, co-agents. That's if I could point anything out to having good relationships with agents is going to be huge, and treat everyone with kindness, even if you're frustrated. This can be a hard job with some good stress involved. And if we can all just be nice to each other, it goes a long way. It's okay to be frustrated and like communicate that with them in a kind way, for sure. But recap, well, we'll go over ahas. Sorry, I'm struggling with seeing. I want to see you guys, but I can't see the screen. And daily success system. So yeah, that's something. Oh, and I don't know. I'm 5 years in and I still struggle with having like a constant system, because we do get really busy with the nitty gritty of real estate. So don't, in my personal opinion, I think it's important to have that, but also not get like too hard on yourself, because our days are not the same every day. And so if you set out to kind of have a rhythm, and then when you get pulled in different ways, at least you know what you're coming back um, to continue to work on. Somebody want to read that for me?
I'll do it. Virtually every top producing agent we have ever worked with has a deep and almost inherent sense of service. They have a servant's heart and place their buyers or sellers' real estate experience above all else. They are always thinking service. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yeah. Does anybody have any like thing to say about that? Like what that might look like for you? And you don't have to. I just this is I think it's a big one.
One thing that actually came up in the last Ignite class, we were talking about open houses. And I was told by one agent that, possibly doing virtual tours wouldn't be the best idea, or doing posting videos as like an open house tour wouldn't be the best idea, because you're not able to capture uh potential leads information that way. But I was thinking, just because you can't capture the leads information, you are doing it in the best effort for your client. And that was kind of one of those things that kind of hit me, is like, I think I will do virtual tours, online videos and stuff like that, because yes, it might not be the best thing for my business, but it's the best thing for the client. And ultimately, that will be the best thing for the business.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, I totally can get behind that. And who knows, right? Like that person saw your face. Maybe they live in the same town. Maybe you're standing in line at the grocery store together and they're like, hey, I saw you on a video talking about a house. And so you never know what could come of that video in the long run. This is a long-term career, right? You can be very like now. But if you can get a mindset of like, for as long as I want to be in this career, the long term, I think that will serve you well also. And caring, right? The follow-up. Like I sit at every closing table, and I always let my people know that I am here for them forever. Like once I'm your agent, I'm always your agent. Reach out. I'm here to tell you what contractor to not call, or what contractor to call, or what's the best restaurant, who's all the things. Like I want to be of value to you forever. And people really take you up on that. It's amazing. Not everybody, obviously, but people will really appreciate that. So yeah. All right. And stop me if I talk too fast or anything. Again, this is my first time teaching, so I'm not very nervous, but probably a little bit. So, all right, let's see. Great agent client communication. So provides a strong foundation for sustaining a relationship. Hugely important. Sets and manages expectations proactively throughout the transaction. You guys will find that, especially once you start having a handful or more, because you will, of folks that you're working with, this career, I don't know, you're needed and wanted 24 hours a day. And if you allow yourself to do that, they will do it to you. And not because they're mean, because they all have needs and they all it can be wild. So make sure that you are you cherish your time and communicate that with them, like, hey, I'm available from this time to this time. And there will be moments where there's a time sensitive, you've got to get an offer in by 7 p.m. or there's moments where you need to be available. I've written offers at midnight, and that's okay. I'll do that occasionally, but not all the time. Creates peace of mind for your clients, and enhances your credibility, or enhance your credibility. So creating peace of mind for people, I think you'll know what you're talking about, right? And that'll come with time. Have the conversation with a friend, like, to pretend you're educating them on a transaction. A lot of these people, it's their first time. They don't know the process. And so if you know the process and you're comfortable with the process, it will help them. And don't say that to stress you out. It took me time, it will take you time. Um, but the more you know and the more comfortable you are with all of it, the better. Like, call up a title company, ask them their process, talk with a lender, ask them their process. And figure out how it all kind of works together. That'll be really valuable in your career. Um, let's see, I took some notes on that. Any questions so far? And then, I had taken a note on number 2 here. I said, follow through with what you say you are going to do. There are a lot of tasks that come up with this career, and a lot of communication between title companies, lenders, your clients, the listing agent or the buyer agent. And so make sure you're really mindful about following through with all those processes that it takes to get to the closing table. Uh, that's also very important. Let's see. 3 levels of service. So you've got purpose, value proposition, and fiduciary. So purpose, that's, what we're bringing to the table. That's our value. That's like, Ryan's super cool outfit. You're the one on my screen right now. You look really well put together. You've got a nice smile. You're talking, you're engaging, I'm sure you bring so much more, Ryan, to somebody, and that's amazing. And so bring your purpose, stand behind who you are. People are going to be attracted to us because of who we are. So just because, Sally is doing something else and she's doing great at it, doesn't mean you can't either, by just being you. And your value proposition, what are you worth? You're gonna have to sell yourself to people sometimes. Like, I've had to fight for my 2.5% apples and let them know why I deserve those 2.5% apples, or 2.5 apples. I shouldn't even say percent. Sorry. So know your value, and don't be afraid to bring that up to people. There's a reason they're with us, and you're worth it. So, and then fiduciary, it's what we owe to our clients forever. Like once they go away and you've gone to the closing table with them, that information, whatever they shared with you, that's between you and them. That you don't share it, you owe them that for life. So be careful with that. You don't want to like be sitting around at a bar with your friends and say something you shouldn't. So just less is always more in real estate. If you're questioning things, just don't say anything. All right, let's see. Functionary versus fiduciary. I'll be honest, I had to look this one up and take notes. um, so let's see. So functionary, the things that I came up with are you're carrying out specific tasks, an agent who has made the commitment to place the client's interest ahead of their own interests. Um, this is kind of the lower level of what you're going to bring to the table for your client. Low relationship, you assume, what do we? You're recording it. You're doing kind of the bare minimal, I guess, is what I pulled from functionary, and I hope I'm accurate. Um, and then fiduciary is your legal obligation to act in the best interest of their client. The high duty of care, loyalty, good faith, and confidentiality. And so this is your high level, your high relationship. You're anticipating stuff, trying to be ahead of everything, and things like that. You're anticipating their needs. So, any questions on that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I gotta change the screen. Dual agency. All right. So anybody know what dual agency is?
When you work for both the buyer and the seller.
Correct. Yeah. I personally don't participate in dual agency. You can if you want. I wouldn't recommend it maybe right out of the gate, but that again is up to you. Yes. So dual agency is when you represent both sides. It is a fine dance. Because you really have to be careful about the things that you're saying. You don't want to, you can't negotiate for either side. You can't, but you have to have both parties' best interest at all times, and that can be difficult. So I know some agents do it at a high level. I personally, even after 5 years, but am not comfortable with it. And I don't know if I ever will be. Let's see, I think I took some notes on. You definitely need to have written consent from both parties. So there are forms that need to be filled out. And that's going to end up being on like several pages, I think, of documents that you need to fill out. Yeah, you can't advocate for either side. Agent's role is to limit. Yeah, you can't negotiate. They don't get full representation. They kind of just get the paperwork done. They have to come up with their own ideas on how to navigate through the transaction. And I wouldn't want that personally in my transaction. I'd want to be able to talk freely with my agent. And you can't do that in dual agency. So. If you're interested in that, definitely chat with more agents. I'm not the one fully to talk to about that because like I said, I'm not into it. All right, on my end, this was a double. Yeah, okay. So setting expectation. Any questions as of yet? I don't want to go too fast or.
All good so far.
I love it. Excellent. All right, setting expectations. think we all know what this means, and I've kind of touched on it already, right? You can say it in your voicemail, like I'm available from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or whatever. I don't personally have that in my email because, like I said, sometimes that's not true. And I need to be available 24 hours a day, which you will find occurs. And that's okay because you get a really good paycheck sometimes at the end of that. So it's really worth it. But overall, you can set expectations in a general kind of picture. So let's see, review the transaction process. Somebody want to go through this? Let's see if somebody wants to take this on a little bit. Try, maybe see. If not, I'll do it, but no. All right. All right. So let's see. Partner with an agent. I don't really know what they mean by partner with an agent. I guess maybe that would be the client. I think this is the client on the bottom and the agent is on the top. So I'm just going to kind of chat through this. Let's see, because I don't fully. So get pre-approved for a loan. So you're going to have people call you and they're going to be super excited to go trudge you around everywhere and go see homes. Which is great, and you can do that. But it oftentimes also helps to have the conversation prior to spending all the time to set up the showings and all the time to go do the things. Um, get them pre-approved first. Have some lenders in your back pocket that you recommend. Have them be pre-approved so that you're not going to go look at an $800,000 house. I just had it happen the other day. A woman called me. Oh, so sorry. Um, and she had all these like 800,000 plus homes she wanted to go look at. And like, great, yeah, we'll get those set up. Here's a lender, give her a call, get your pre-approval. So the market up here, homes are still moving quickly occasionally. And so it's great to be ready to pull the trigger and be able to make a move as quickly as possible. And you need to be pre-approved to do that. So she got her pre-approval and she was approved for $350,000. And that's great. Good for her. But that's widely different. I would have wasted so much time showing $800,000 homes when we should have been in a different price range. Happily, we'll show $50,000 homes, but we need to know that those are the ones we're supposed to be looking at. So trying to get people to get pre-approved prior to going out the door is going to help everybody, save everybody some time. Let's see, partner with an agent. That's going to be, somebody partnering with you. Set clear search criteria. It's going to be good. Have those conversations. What are you looking for? What towns? How many rooms? Do you want acreage? No acreage? Do you want to have homes on top of you, or do you want some space? Have those questions that you roll through with people. And you will find that it's like a little secret, funny haha in between agents, buyers are liars. They think they know what they want, and then the journey begins, and sometimes they end up with something different. So, it's a journey sometimes, but it's helpful to kind of have an idea of where they want to look. Negotiating terms, that's going to be a big one for us as agents, learning how to negotiate. People are going to want it. They're always going to ask us, what should I be listing for? What do you think this house is valued at? Know the market. You can't tell them what to list for. That has to come, our offer, that has to come from them. But you can give them an idea of where to go in. Your vendor coordinating, I mean, start plugging those into your phone instantly. Anytime you come across a vendor, have your trash guy, have your, a cleaner, somebody who will come take furniture, have all of those people in your phone. You will be sending those over to all of your clients. I just did it this morning before we started this class. I've got 3 closings coming up, and they all, you need the utility people, you need, who's going to come this, who's going to come that, and they all are looking for that information from you. It's your job to give it to them for the most part. Appraisals, does anyone know what appraisal is?
Appraisal is when they're the people who come out to value the home so that the bank knows that the home is worth what they're lending on. Yeah,
Correct.
so basically if they're getting a loan, you need an appraisal. I even had one where it was like they were putting down 70% of the loan and they're putting down 70%. So they're only borrowing 30% of the home, 30% of the total value, and they still had to get an appraisal.
Correct. Yeah, my guy just bought a over $2 million home. He had a $400,000 loan, and they still came out and appraised the property. So every once in a while, when people are putting down a huge portion of cash and there's a small amount of being loaned, occasionally an appraisal will get waived, but always expect an appraisal. And so, like he said, that's the bank coming out and putting a value on the property. Here's a note to take if you guys are taking notes, something to look into further. When you're writing up an offer, there in your clauses is a thing called an appraisal gap. So if you're ever in a place where you think what they're offering versus what the property will appraise at, and they're willing to purchase the home at the price they're offering, and they are okay if there's an appraisal gap, if the house does not appraise at what they're hopeful it would, you can write in that they're willing to pay up to 15 grand for an appraisal gap, or up to a certain amount for an appraisal gap, which makes your offer look better, because now that appraisal gap doesn't become an issue. If the home doesn't appraise for the amount offered or close to, that creates an issue for a lender, and sometimes they can't get their loan. So just something for homework, look into if you're curious. I have not gone up and down, up and down, up and down on this. Say what? Sorry.
So sorry, I just kind of wanted to dig a little bit into that. So if
Yep.
you go under contract for a set price, then you get the appraiser values a house drastically lower, let's say, than what it was listed at. What happens at that point, I guess?
Oh, yeah. So we can get, and that can happen many different ways. Let's say I had one happen. I'm just going to throw random numbers. Let's say it's a $600,000 house. And especially back when the market was really aggressive, I think was when we were seeing that happen a little more, where the house was listed as 600,000, but my folks wanted the house so bad they offered $690,000. Now, the agent who listed more than likely did their work and did the comparative market analysis and came up with $600,000, because that's probably where it was close to, that's where it was going to come in being valued. But now we've got a $690,000 offer on the table. And in the purchase sale, kind of thinking ahead, like, whoa, this home might not appraise at $690,000. When I wrote that offer, and the numbers are probably a little off, but I wrote in, I think they were willing to do a $50,000 appraisal gap. So they were willing to pay the money in the middle. The appraisal's at 600, they're offering 690, and the money in the middle, they were willing to pay to keep the transaction going forward and to not run into issues with the bank. Now you could, like, kind of more like what you said, you get under contract, the appraisal happens, it comes in low. You can go back to your buyers and say, hey, this is what happened. Are you willing to pay the gap? And sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. So we could talk about that for quite some time. There's all different scenarios, but it's just something to start being aware of, something to, and appraisals, right? They're going to come with rules. They want the water up and running. They want the heat on. They want the electricity on. you're gonna run it. You're gonna run into all sorts of stuff. You know, they want to see the house functioning more than not. So, uh, yeah, lots to learn with that one.
Then
And
with like
you
FHAs, it's a whole FHAs, VAs, it's a whole nother thing because now the appraiser is going to be the one that decides whether the home's like livable or has safety concerns or not. Which you'll hear people talk like a bunch of crap about it and be like, "Oh, well, it's never going to get it because there's some peeling paint or blah blah blah." But it's all the appraiser's discretion. I bought a
Mhm.
1870 house that with peeling paint everywhere, all kinds of issues with an FHA, and there was no flags. So it's all kind of their discretion.
Correct. It sometimes comes to the appraiser you get, which you have no control over. But yeah, you'll run into that. Like he said, the VA loans, FHA loans come with a lot more rules, and it does make it a bit more difficult. And there's other avenues that you can do with that. Have lots of conversations with people. I don't want to get too hung up on one thing today, so we can kind of roll through this. But appraisals are a great conversation to continue to have with your people. Let's see. Yeah, you get under I kind of mishmashed through this, so my apologies.
Thanks, Wendy.
So getting under Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, getting under contract, negotiating inspections. That's going to be another really valuable one. You know, you go through inspections, you're going to get the the report. I like to read through it if I have time. It's not always the case, but I like to read through it prior to talking with my buyers. And then we go over it together. If there's any red flags, anything that you want to then bring to the seller's side to negotiate. I find that oftentimes just negotiating purchase price is the way to go. Asking people to fix things prior to closing you can also do, but that can be a little more difficult. I feel like we oftentimes have slow or short closing periods these days, like 30 to 45 days. These 90-day closings just don't happen as often anymore. So to get somebody out to fix the things and do all the things before closing, you know, it would just see if that's reasonable in your timeline, then great. But yet learn how to negotiate. Do you talk with your people again? We all should have somebody in our corner that has been doing this for quite some time. And that's going to be because it can be intimidating, you know, to have to go back to the listing agent, especially if they're, you know, a veteran agent and they know how to have the conversations. Don't be intimidated by that as best as you can. You know, again, know your value. It's okay to be learning. You don't even have to like throw that out into the air. Like they had to learn too, and so are you. Just have the facts, have them written down before you make the phone call. Um, and yeah, you'll be great at it. But it can be a difficult portion of the transaction. Um, yeah, the pre-close preparation. I always love to give my people a timeline, right? There are pretty time sensitive dates on your purchase and sale. So once I get my people under contract, I usually sit down with that purchase and sale. So once on the top of the purchase and sale, you have your you know, you write in the date. And once that date is written in, it is now a fully executed purchase and sale, and the clock starts ticking. So all those dates, the due diligence period, the your escrow checks, your loan commitment, your inspection dates, your closing date, all of those I write down in order and give to my people so that it's in their face. Those timelines are super important. They make or break a deal. You do not want to get caught on the back end of anything. You can breach contract and you can lose somebody's escrow deposits. So be really, really mindful of those dates on your purchase and sale. It's a huge part of your job. Um, And so really get used to how you don't have to do that. I don't do that for every transaction where I give them the dates, but that's that's part of my value. That's part of what I bring to the transaction is to keep everything very clear and in front of you, so that you have minimal questions. You just kind of knowing what's coming next, what's expected of you as the buyer, and how I'm going to help you navigate through this transaction. So, come up with your own little way of keeping people focused through the transaction and communicating with them. And then closing, you're also going to have to schedule the closing. If you're on the buyer's side, you need to check in with the selling side and your buyers and the title company and the lender and make sure everything and everybody's on the same page to be able to close. And then post closing, I always get a gift. So I like to make mine. I used to have a local guy who made these beautiful mountain scenes. I live up in the mountains, so it was very, you know, fitting for up here, but do whatever. You don't have to do a gift, but I just think it's really nice. It's a really nice way to end the transaction. And you can do something personal that has your name on it, anything you want but I don't know. So come up with your own thing. Mine depend, right? Like $2 million closing. He got a really nice parting gift, $50,000 closing so that can look however you want it to look. But I think that's nice. And I always let my people know that I'm available forever. I make every closing. And if I can't make the closing, I ask somebody to be there in my place. I think it's really important to have your face at the closing table. And there's a lot to be learned there. And there's a lot, it's nice when both the seller and the buyer are sitting in the same room. They can share information. And sometimes you can be of value in those moments to remind them of a question they meant to ask, or, you've been with them through the whole transaction. So, that's kind of the end of your value right there. Well, it's not the end, but it's the important part. Let's see. Set time expectations, set document expectations. Yeah, know your documents. Go to these contracts classes, listen, ask questions. No question is dumb. Um, they're the biggest part of our career, our job, and you should know them. You should know how to fill them out, especially now. You guys are coming in at a time where you can't even bring anybody into a house without filling out these documents. You're filling out the buyer agency agreement. You're having them sign the the buyer agency disclosure. That one's that one's not as stressful maybe as the buyer agency agreement. And that's where you have to bring your value, right? Like I had a guy hanging out at the back of a truck because that's what we have to do now because we can't even walk into a if they haven't signed it prior to meeting and you're doing it in a driveway. You're having those hard conversations right there before you walk in. And so come up with your strategy of filling those forms out. I show up with just a couple things filled in, like the Keller Williams, the start dates. I fill their names in on the top, the address at the bottom for KW. I sign it. So I try to have as much of it filled out as possible. The stuff that's not really negotiable, the stuff that's just kind of is what it is. And then I leave everything that's negotiable blank. And those are the things that we go over. And so I personally write in 3 apples. I always fight for 3 apples and for my commission and explain to them that you can't go up, but you can come down. And then however you want that to look for yourself is the conversation you have with them. But up here, we see 3 apples. And if I don't write that, I don't have the ability to capture that. And I'd like to. I own a home. I have an 8-year-old. I want to make as many apples as possible, just like any of us. This is a hard job, and but people will kick back on that. So just, that's going to be a conversation you learn to have with people over time. Let's see. Second, yeah, just again, they're just driving home, having some boundaries here. You can dive in as deep as you want. Like I said, I have a kiddo. I've got 53 chickens in my backyard. I've got things that I need to put my own time into. So I try to set limitations. Set up to date
53.
market say what?
Too many chickens. 53 chickens.
I know. Yeah, I have an issue. Yeah, 53 of them.
Sounds
Yeah,
fun.
actually, probably not. I probably have to give a good count. Again, we've had a hard winter. We've had a Fisher cat, and then just some old ladies that have the winter has gotten the better of them, unfortunately. But yeah, 53 chickens, 2 dogs, a cat, and an 8-year-old. My and a career in real estate. Yeah. And I ski on 2 race teams. After I'm done with you guys, I'm suiting up and gonna go race on a ski team. So I keep myself busy. All right. Set up to date market expectations. So this is a big one. This people are gonna, they want to know uh, if the money they're offering is what they should be offering. They want to know if they should be engaging in the market now or wait till the spring, or if the interest rates are going to go down, or if the interest rates are going to go up. And I mean, you're going to get all the questions, all of them, often. It's going to happen. Uh, I oftentimes joke that I wish I had a magic 8 ball and I could just give them the answer solidly, but you can't all the time. You just don't know. But you need to do your best, right? Know the market, look at what's selling, know what's out there now, try to keep up on what things have sold for. Um, I'm connected with lenders. Lenders send me information about what's happening in the market, what's happening with the interest rates. I do my best. It's truly hard, at least for me, to keep up with all of it, but I try to stay on the pulse as best I can. Um, learn how to do a CMA. Learn how to. Does anybody know what a CMA is?
It's a comparative market analysis, basically just comparing similar homes to another property that have
Yep.
already sold.
Yep, exactly. Plain and simple. It's pretty simple. And in the MLS in Paragon, there's a way to get in there. You can do a CMA up, so you can compare a property to a whole bunch of other properties and come up with a price. You can just pull up, like the other day, I had a guy who's interested in a house that was listed as a 4-bedroom. It went under contract. It had inspections done. After inspections, it was found that it's a 3-bedroom house. The contract fell apart, so now he's interested in moving forward on it. But but obviously, a 4-bedroom home is more valuable than a 3-bedroom home. So now what should he offer? What value is a 3-bedroom versus a 4 in the valley in the last 6 months? So I sent him over a bunch of properties so he could take a look at that. So another great place of value that you have to remember you can provide to people. So make your list of why I'm valuable. That's one of them. You can do that for people. That's as simple as that on that one. Yeah. Let's see here. Start with your sphere. Yeah. KW drives this one home as they should. Um, you know, let people know what you do, why you're doing it, how you can help them, how you can help their friend, how you can help their mother. Um, and I think another like you can refer. Like they can live in Hawaii and you can still help them, even though you're licensed in New Hampshire. um, you can refer. right? And there can be good money made in referring. So just don't be shy, do it in your own way. I'm not a salesperson. I don't like being salesy. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. So find your way to connect with your people and your sphere. I'm going to be honest, this is the thing I've struggled with, like picking up my phone that has a crap ton of numbers in it and making the calls. I still, for some silly reason, feel like I have aggregators where I get referrals from, and for some reason, it's a lot easier to call a stranger for me than it is to call somebody that I've known for a really long time. I don't know why. I'm just being vulnerable with you. I'm letting you know because I think we're all going to have our feelings in this career, and that's okay, right? Like I challenge myself, I pick it up, I'll do it. I don't like it, um, but it's helpful. And so, stepping out of your like this class, like Tim, asking me to teach this class, my first response was not like, heck yeah, I've been waiting for you to call me. I was like, what? But I was like, yeah, of course I will. Of course I will. Like I've come this far. And I'm going to say yes. I know better. I know to step out of my comfort zone. I know the value that it will bring. Like I'm excited to meet you all. I'm excited to see you around in the market center and connect and share knowledge and fun stories about life and all the things. That's a really cool part of this career. I open myself to all of you beyond today to help you and call me. I'll have an hour conversation with you and help however I can. I've had many agents in my career who've been doing it longer than me, to put their hand up and just help. And it's invaluable. I've loved every second of it, and it inspires you to want to do it as well. At least it did for me. So say yes, make the phone calls, step out of your comfort zone. Somebody might really enjoy to hear from you today. 3 steps to gaining referrals. Provide value. You're going to hear that again and again and again because you do. Ask for help. Do that. Don't be afraid to ask for help from friends, from colleagues, because you will get rewarded. I had a absolutely stellar year this year. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I said yes to things. I tried really hard. I put the hours in, and it really paid off. So, and I hope to only go bigger and better as life goes on. Let's see. Reviews. Oh, okay. Yes, I see. Reviews. I'm glad I took notes. Um, this is something also I'm at a place in my career where I need like an assistant. I have my tech guy. Thank God I married one. Um, that's more said with a joke, but you will, I hope, find a place where you're going to need somebody else helping you with paperwork, with marketing, with all the extra stuff. And if unless you can handle it all, rock on if you can. That's amazing. But reviews, this is at the end, I have an email set up where I can just send I personalize it, like plug in somebody's name, a little like beep beep boop about the experience. But for the most part, it's a already written email. Um, and I send it off at the end of a transaction, asking them to hit the link in the email, write a review. Boom, it goes right in to this place it should be, and it helps me on my search. So when somebody's like real estate in North Conway, my face shows up instead of somebody else's. So that's my avenue. That's how I have mine set up. But have something where people write reviews for you. It helps. And so, yeah, people want to know that you're interacting and having good transactions with people. People find value in it for sure. Oh, let's see. Somebody want to read that? I don't have that slide.
I guess I can read it. If your purchasing or selling experience exceeded your expectations, would you be so kind as to give me a brief review? I'd also like your permission to use this in my advertising and marketing.
Yep. So that's just, I mean, take a picture of that if you want as an idea of how to get started. Mine's a little more involved than that, my email that I send people. But it is, yeah, you know, you'll see a lot of agents post stuff on Facebook or wherever, all the interweb stuff. But yeah, make sure you get permission as well. My link, like when they plug into the link, it just kind of, that's them giving the permission. It's all stated in mine, but okay, let's see. Seller reviews. So same, you know, you want those reviews, buyer reviews. All right, any ha-has, any takeaways from this first little bit that we went over? And what time is it? Oh, I could now we'll try to move along from here. Sorry. Yay, nay? No? All right, we'll keep plugging along then. All right, I'll talk less. I can't believe it's already been an hour. Success with buyers, success with clients, success with co-agents, success with sellers, daily success system, and your recap ideas. So that's okay. So we need to move along. My apologies. All right, let's go. What buyers want most from their agents? Help find the right home to purchase, obviously. Help buyers negotiate the term of sale, help with the price, negotiations, and other. So yeah, that's our job in a nutshell for the most part. Let's see. Oops. All right, buyer need analysis. So this is those questions I was talking about going over. Just, you know, having your go-to questions, and those can change. So it is what it is. But just have some kind of idea of what you want. Take those notes. So when you go back, you know what they want. And I like to set up, oh God, what's it called? A collaboration. You can do that through command, or no, through the MLS, through Paragon. You set up a home search for them, so that you know you get all their information. You plug that into the system. You send it off to them, and so anytime a home in their wish list hits the market, it gets sent right to them. They get it. Hopefully, they're supposed to be getting it before like Zillow or Redfin or all that kind of stuff. And it's got your name attached to it, so they're seeing you and they're seeing the home, and you're just kind of staying front of mind for them. So look into that. A collaboration. That's another note to take. Let's see. Tough conversations, fiduciary conversations, show homes based on need analysis. You'll show homes that they don't need to see as well sometimes, but show only the best of properties for your buyers. Yes, you're always going to try to do that. Have MLS listings with pricing information and key details, including disclosures. I'm I did. I don't know. I go about that in different ways. I always have the MLS sheets with me, so that you can kind of look through that MLS while you're on a showing and answer any questions. That those MLS sheets have a lot of information. Um, if they're looking at one or two homes, I'll oftentimes have the disclosures with me. But if they're looking at like 7 homes in one day, I just don't do that. I think it's overwhelming. I always explain to them like, hey, we've got the MLS sheets, you know, let's just look through these. We'll wean down from today's showings. And from there, I'll send you out the documents to the properties that you want more information on. What did I just do? Uh-oh. Be knowledgeable about the property and the neighborhood. You know, try to know a little bit about the property before you go. Again, as much knowledge as you can have, the better. Include recent comparable sales to answering price questions. I mean, you're not always going to have time to be able to pull that together prior to showings. Try to know, but that could be a follow-up conversation as well after looking at properties. Then you're going back, you're comparing prices, coming up with a good offer price and moving forward. Point out potential issues and concerns. You know, if you see something in the house that is visual and concerning and the people don't, you can point stuff out like that. It's your job to help get them the best property. Let's see, showing homes means agent interaction. Yeah. So yes, you're gonna have to talk with agents to set showings. There is showing time. So sometimes you are just using the computer to set the showing, but if you have like questions about the home, you might want to call them prior to the showing to get those answered for your clients. When you do call them and you're setting up the showing, make sure at this point that you're asking if the seller is providing buyer agency compensation, and if so, for how much. I find value in knowing what you can, how many apples you can get prior to going, as that's another conversation you want to have with um, your buyers, because they are in the end responsible for that commission. So those are conversations you're going to want to learn to have as well. Home tool. This one I loved. Yeah. I always am like, oh, I should have a flashlight. So look that over. That's, that's for you. If you want all these things, great. I have had snacks. I do have an 8-year-old, so I always have snacks in my car anyway. So I've definitely had to feed some grumpy kids. Um, a flashlight's really helpful. Measuring tape can be, whatever you find valuable in this list or whatever other you want to add to it, but it's nice to have some of these for people. Give me a second on that. Safety first when showing homes. Safety for, I was just, we all now have the ability to have forewarn. I highly recommend downloading that. They sent an email out to all agents, and you can go right into that email and download forewarn for free. I have an agent I was on a Zoom with yesterday who she did a forewarn on the guy, and he had some pretty significant, scary things against him, legal stuff against him. And she did not go show him homes. She was mighty uncomfortable. So be careful if you're questioning anything. Ask another agent to come with you. Does anybody know about, it's the red or the orange folder? Has anybody heard about that? Orange
Yes.
folder.
Yes.
Go ahead. Okay, excellent. Yeah. Okay, good. So know about that. Yeah, forewarn's pretty awesome. I was just sharing with that after yesterday, a conversation came up. And this is prior to us being able to have forewarn. So I was standing in a driveway with a gentleman going over some stuff, and he let me, and I was alone with him. He was very nice. Thank God he was very nice the whole time, but anything could be. He disclosed to me that he had 23 felonies because he was concerned about filling out an application for a mobile park home that he wanted to live in. Right? You're like, whoa, that's like a full-time job. How did you do that? So, and no judgment. I don't want to pass any judgment on. I'm just bringing that up to be mindful of being in homes alone with people. Job equals sell homes, show homes, sell some homes. Whatever that one's saying. Reasons buyers hesitate. They are afraid to commit. They don't like some minor details of the home. They feel they haven't seen enough homes. They need to sleep on it or get the option of a trusted advisor. Absolutely. And as they should. And it's kind of nice to see us come into a market where people can actually think about it. When I first started, this market was wild. People weren't doing inspections. People were throwing as much money as they had at it and their firstborns. I mean, you couldn't even go see homes. You're just writing offers. It was the Wild West for sure. Which is tough, it's a huge purchase and people just didn't have time to think. So I think it's smart for people to go home and sleep on it. And I think it's smart for people to look a little more into it and talk to their trusted person and So, and we always recommend inspections. It is a strategy to get the house, but inspections protect the buyer and the seller. So I always say I recommend expect inspections, and that's why it protects. They're there to protect you. But again, it's up to them in the end, and that is their decision. But they will only hear from me that I recommend them. Guidelines to facilitate decision making. Always go back to their motivation. So this is something, right? Like, be a good listener. While you're walking through the house or while they're on the phone with you, I'm always kind of secretly taking my notes, and I will bring those back up to them. Go back to their needs and wants, advise them as a consultant and fiduciary, ally their fears, solve their challenges, and calculate the cost of waiting. I mean, that's all pretty straightforward stuff. And you will end up doing all of that. Help price home competitively, help seller. Oh, we're going into sellers now. Okay, help seller market home to potential buyers, help sell the home within specific timeline, help sellers find ways to fix up homes to sell. You're gonna see all this too. This summer I had a listing and he was a friend. Sometimes those can be the harder ones to have the conversations with. Oh, I love him, but his house was a mess. It was a mess. Nobody wanted to walk through that and see it. And so, yeah, fix your home up, depersonalize it a little bit, keep it clean because we're going to have showings. Like, those conversations, you're going to have to tell people to do that. Or don't, but it's going to be helpful for them and you're going to bring them value if they can really clean the space up and make it so that when somebody else is walking through it, they can see themselves in that space. You're going to have a timeline, right? So you want to try to get it sold as soon as possible, help sellers make market home. So yeah, and market, however, right? The MLS, I put mine in magazines sometimes, some real estate magazines, Facebook, all the things. You're going to want to get your for sale signs. Don't hesitate on getting those either. Like, you're telling yourself right now, right? Like, I'm gonna get a listing and and I'm gonna have my signs and I'm gonna have my open house signs. Like, that's an investment you should make. Do that because you're gonna get your listing and you're gonna be ready for it. So be ready for it because it's gonna happen. So seller needs price, time frame, and conveyance, right? You gotta come up with a price to list at. You need to know how long that contract is good for, and then convey how you're going to do it. So you will get good at that. Sellers lie. Sellers control. Price and condition. Yeah, in the end, the seller can tell you what they want to list it for. You can give them your professional opinion. In the end, they're the boss. And the condition, how they want to, I would imagine the condition of the home is what they mean by that. It's gonna, you're gonna price the home on the condition of it. So you could have two of the same homes right next to each other, but somebody took care of theirs and the other didn't. Obviously, one's going to have more value than the other. Sensitive seller conversation, right? Yeah, this kind of stuff. And oh my God, when you go to sorry, this is like a personal pet peeve that I have to share. When you hire your professional, because you should hire a professional to take your photos, it's money well spent. Be mindful of this. Like, just move stuff to the left and let him take the picture and then put it back. Close the toilet seats. Make the beds look nice. Those pictures, are what are selling the property. And you're going to start clicking through these MLS pictures and you'll see the different levels of effort that was put into them. Now, I say, in my opinion, put the effort into those really good pictures. It'll go a long way. Greet agent client communication provides a strong foundation for a sustaining relationship, sets and manages expectations proactively throughout the transaction,
creates peace of mind for your client, enhances your credibility. Communication is massive. We could have a whole class on communication, whatever that looks like for you, however you want to communicate with your people, do it and do it well. This is something you should put a lot of effort into. Communicate with the lenders. I reach out to every lender during a transaction. Constantly talk to the title company. I talk to the listing agent if I'm on the buyer side, and vice versa. Conversation is massive in this career. If a client violates fair housing, you can read through this one, right? Remind the client of their obligation under the Fair Housing Act, discontinue representation of the client, report the incident to your broker immediately, fully document the situation, and consult an attorney. I'm 5 years in. I haven't experienced this. Doesn't mean you won't. But I mean, I've definitely had people try to cut corners when selling. And they can't. You can't. You can't. You have to be honest. And I won't do business unless you're completely honest. And I say that loud and clear again and again and again. It's the only way you can do it. It will come bite you in the butt if you don't. And hold to that. I don't recommend you walk through this business any other way other than 100% honestly. No commission is worth your reputation. Exactly. You're going to do your business however you want, but I recommend you do it with a very high standard. It will suit you. One quick little sale is not worth anything. This is the long game career. Be looking to the future, not just the right now. Let's see. Step marketing plan for listings, listing leverage leads, capitalize on your listing by marketing your brand at the same time. And bring in more. Are any of you on teams or are you solo agents? What are your guys' plans on that?
Solo over here.
Is that you, Ryan? Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah. There's no right or wrong answer to that. I was solo for the first 4 years, even though I had it was such a compliment. Almost right off the bat, I had one of the best agents in the Valley hovering over me, begging me to be on her team. And I was determined for some reason to learn on my own and to do as much as I could on my own at first. Whether that's right or wrong, I don't think there is a right or wrong. I just wanted to dive in my own way and do it my own way at first. And then when I was ready, dive in potentially to a team. I did join a team last year, and things went a little south. My team lead had a pretty massive stroke about a week and a half in. And so my idea of a team changed rapidly, but I don't regret it. I'm still on that team. We have shifted and pivoted, and I've learned so much from it. So, but yeah, have a brand if you want. You could do so much with this. So dive in deeper to all of that if you are interested. But we have jackets with our names on it and our label, and I wear it out and about. And I don't try to be super flashy about being a real estate agent, but I have little moments of it. So, all right, somebody's reading that for me.
The messages you put out to attract prospective buyers and sellers is everything. Why would they want to contact you in this market? What would they get if they did? These two questions are the heart of all effective messages.
Yeah. It's true. I just think at this point, now that you've signed up to be an agent, be careful about what you're putting out on Facebook, how you're presenting yourself to the community. Be somebody be proud, they want to be proud to work with you. They want to be like, yeah, Wendey, I want to tell her about my friends, and because she, kicks ass and she works really hard and she does everything she says she's going to do. And when she messes up, she owns it and she fixes it. because we're human and not everything's going to be perfect, but just, attract what you want to attract, and you will get those people and you'll do great in this business. Your MLS listing reflects your brand, so get it right. Yeah, so MLS listings. And it's wonderful. You're gonna get a listing and you're gonna love it. But you're gonna need to learn all the things, right? Learn how to go down to the town hall, learn how to find your, tax cards and maps and all the things online through the town hall. You've got to have people filling out property disclosures, and you've got to fill out the MLS, and you've got to do it accurately. This is a big piece of our career. You've got to get good pictures. You've got to know how to plug all this in to the MLS. Again, why I highly recommend a mentor. So have the right documents for your region and market center. You need to know what ones you need, right? Like KW, you have to have a tax card. You can't close a transaction without having a tax card. So there's just, you need to know the things that you need for compliance. Utilize the right professionals to get great pictures. Have your photographers set the right schedules for your listing. There's all kinds of strategies. Like, I like to put my listings out on a Thursday, and I like to not have showings until a Saturday, so it has a hot second to marinate. And often my first showing is an open house. So they've had time to see it from Thursday. They've had time to talk with their agent, maybe do a little due diligence. And then they've got the ability to get to that open house on Saturday. So there's all different kinds of strategies on how to list and try to do the best you can for your seller. Important listing data directly from, I dive into command and all that. There's so much value in command. That's a whole nother conversation, another class, but just know it exists and know that there's a lot that you can do with it. Proper signage, like I said, go get those signs, invest in them. It's going to be helpful. And why not tell yourself that you're going to, your first listing's right around the corner. Per NAR within, and here we go. Yeah. Within 1 business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker must submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation with the MLS participants. Public marketing includes, but is not limited to, flyers displayed in windows, yard signs, digital marketing on public-facing websites, brokerage website displays, including IDX and VOW, digital communication marketing, email blasts, multi-brokerage listings, sharing networks, and applications available to the general public. So once you say, hey, coming to market, you've got to get that out into the public within 1 business day. That is a rule. Success with co-agents. Yeah, play nicely with others. Any ahas, any things you want to share? I'll try to keep banging through this. No. Let's see. Yeah, here's a great list. Here's one of those things where you're setting up, maybe what a day looks like. I'll give you a second and take a picture of that or do whatever you want with that. But here's a great idea. The 10-5-1, if anybody doesn't know what that is. Oh boy, I have the notes, but I have not been going through. Give me 1 sec. It's like 10 touches, 5 likes, and 1 post. Pretty sure that's what it was. And we are
I think it's
almost
10 likes, 5 comments, 1 post.
Nope. Maybe that's what KW has. What I found online, 10 comments, 5 messages, 1 post. But however that unfolds for you, I bet you could switch it up, right? And we are right at the finish line here. The do not call. Has anybody heard about this? I'm sure they've already driven it home to you guys. Yeah, big fines. Be mindful. Because there's some hefty fines that come with this if you call somebody on the do not call list and they report you. You'll hear KW talk about that nonstop. It's a pretty big one. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationships with me. It's true. Just do it. To do that anyway, right? Be good, be kind, be caring, want to help people. Sign up for things, right? Like do charity work occasionally, go to an animal shelter, walk a dog, get yourself out into environments where you can have conversations with people. Um, as many conversations as you can kind of be having it. It'll really help spark like, hey, real estate somehow, some way is going to come up. People love to talk about real estate. It's wild. People, it's pretty funny. People really love real estate. Uh, Celebrate your successes. You guys are going to have a bunch of them. This is such a great career. I hope you all get the things that you're looking out of this. And that is the end of the class. Anything anybody want to share, add, questions? Ready to get on with your day?
Just wanted to say I appreciate you kind of going over the appraisal gap. That's definitely something I'm going to look into and kind of get a better understanding of that. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome. On if you're using DocuSign, you can get into DocuSign, create a room for yourself, and you can pull documents. And in those documents are our oh my God, my brain's gonna want to say concessions, are our contingencies, are anyway, there's a whole page of them. Learn them, right? Like learn the stuff that you can write into an offer to make it a better offer. So your contingencies are your clauses. Thank you. Oh my goodness. This cold has really gotten me. Like it's pretty beat down. Your clauses, learn those. Learn they bring a lot of value to an offer. You need to know where they are. You need to know how to write them. So yeah, you're welcome. That's just one of many. So there's
Will
so
do.
much information in this career. Yeah, if I could give any takeaway, and I think I've said it a bunch, is to find a person to lean into, especially as a solo agent. If you're on a team, then you've kind of got your people, but as a solo agent, um, do that. Lean into somebody, and you'll soar quicker, in my opinion. Because there's so much information to take in. You can't pretend you're just going to know it all and do really great right away without some help. So let me see. Let me just make sure. Yeah, we're use command and connect. That's good. I'm not really great at it because I'm not the best computer person, as you guys saw in the beginning of this class. But there's all kinds of ways to be successful. And it looks like your next session is make and receive offers. Fun. That'll be a good one. Be there for that. That's valuable. All right. Well, it was really nice. If you want, I will give you guys my number. Again, my name is Wendey St. And my phone number is 603-730-7604. And it's Wendey, Wendey, if you try to look me up. I'm nice and complicated. And like I said, I'm so happy to pay it forward. I've had agents do it for me, and it's really important for me to do for all of you. And there's value for me too. I'll learn. You guys are super smart, I'm sure of it. And so I look forward to seeing you guys around.
Thank you, Wendy. Much
Yeah, you're
appreciated.
welcome. Yeah, go kill it. Have fun with this career. Bye, guys.
You're great in skiing today.
Aha. Thanks. I hope so. Bye.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.